Hi, everybody. My name is Dustin with www.gamblingonfreedom.com. I am a certified hypnotherapist specializing in problem gambling, gambling addiction, compulsive gambling. And before I get started, I just wanted to thank my subscribers. Thank you guys for subscribing and following and sharing and liking the channel. The videos are doing great, and a lot of people are expressing through the comments that some of them have even been able to quit gambling just from the content, just from reading the book. And that is amazing, guys. So let's just keep this up. Let's keep it growing, helping people quit gambling because it's an epidemic, or it's going to be turned into one at some point eventually. And to be honest with you, it's horrible. Like the things I hear people talk about and see in my practice about it, I mean, people's lives are literally destroyed, guys. Destroyed. Like they lose everything, and it's absolutely awful. So if you want to help me help people quit gambling and get their lives back, keep supporting the channel, keep subscribing, keep commenting. I love to see you guys' comments, and I do try to reply to them if I can. So yeah, without further ado, let's get to the video. Today's video, I really want to talk about chasing the big win. I hear this a lot. If I just get a jackpot, everything will be better, right? I'll pay off all my debt. I'll put money aside in investments. I'll get my wife back. I'll get my husband back. I'll change my whole life around when I get this jackpot. When I get the money, I'll change my whole life when I get the money. This is a problem because that's not real. That's not true. That's an illusion. You will not actually change your life when you get a jackpot. And I know this from several gamblers who have had jackpots who, they get that jackpot. And in the same night that they've received the jackpot, they keep gambling. Now, that might not be everybody, but that's happened multiple times, at least with the clients that I know. And they get the jackpot and they still gamble in the same night. They don't even go home to pay off their debt yet, even though that might be the thing that was convincing them they need the jackpot, right? So what's going on here? What is the issue? How come when you achieve the goal, and this applies for everything, by the way, but when you achieve the goal, how come it doesn't actually fulfill you? How come when you achieve the goal and you get the jackpot, you don't actually get fulfillment from that to the point where you can just quit gambling? How come? What's going on there? Well, what's going on there is you have to understand that you're not actually chasing the money. You're not chasing the jackpot, even though that logically makes sense. You're in a lot of debt. The money could help you. So, yes, you want the money, but that's not actually what you want. What does the money mean to you? What does the money mean to you? It might mean freedom. It might mean happiness. It might mean excitement. It might mean fulfillment. It might mean I can quit gambling. What does the money or the jackpot mean to you? And whatever it means to you, if it means freedom, if it means relief, if it means paying off debt, whatever you're making that thing mean is going to get you at least closer to what the real issue is, right? Because the chasing is only happening because you feel like it serves you. You only chase it because you think the jackpot is going to help you. The problem is that once you get the jackpot, it almost resets the loop or resets the cycle versus fulfills it and makes it go away. What I mean by that is because you're not actually chasing the external thing, such as the money or the jackpot, you're not actually chasing that. What are you chasing? You're chasing the feeling. You're chasing the feeling you would have if you got the jackpot or the money, right? So if you had the jackpot and you make that mean freedom, you're chasing more freedom, right? You're chasing the feeling of freedom. You're not even chasing the intellectual idea of freedom. You're chasing the feeling of freedom. You want to feel relief. You want to feel that freedom. And you believe that if you get the jackpot, you'll have it. And you probably will for a time. But if you've watched this channel before, you know that the way gambling works is it's literally hijacking your nervous system, it's hijacking your emotions. And what it's doing is it is giving you false or manufactured reliefs, not real relief. So if you were to get that jackpot, let's just say you made $100,000, you got that jackpot, you got $100,000. What would happen is, yes, you might feel a sense of relief. You will feel a sense of freedom, but because the tension was so high, because you've waited so long to get that jackpot, it's really just a buildup of stress, that now you finally have this relief and it feels so good. This freedom feels so good. Now you have that. And so it's not real relief. It's not real freedom, because if it were, you would just leave and never come back. And I'm telling you, out of the clients that I have and just knowing the nature of this work, that's not what happens. Most people will take the money that they got off that jackpot and continue to gamble that same night, trying to use the winnings to make even more money, right? Some people do go and they do pay off their debt, and they do, get themselves out of immediate danger in terms of finances and things like that. But then they come right back into the casino 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month later, and they go right back into it and they start gambling and they lose everything that they had gained. And now they're back into the hole again. And then they wonder, why that is. Well, the reason is because you're not chasing the money. You're not chasing the jackpot. You're chasing the feeling behind it. What is it going to feel like when you get the jackpot? What is it going to feel like when you have $100,000 in your account right now? What is that going to feel like? If that feels like freedom, if that feels like hope, if that feels like, fulfillment, love, passion, if that's what that feels like, that's what you're chasing. And that is exactly what you need to find in real life, right? Because if you can replace the gambling and the jackpots and the money with something just as good in a real life sense, something that actually makes you feel free, abundant, good, happy, excited, whatever, and you can feel that now without needing a jackpot, and you can effectively replace that, you don't need a jackpot anymore. You stop chasing it. Right now, people chase their money, people chase the jackpots, people chase for many, many different reasons. Some people chase because of trauma, some people chase because of hope, some people chase because of emotion and feeling. Some people chase, well, it's all going to be feelings, to be honest with you. You're chasing it because of good feelings, or you're trying to run away from bad feelings and still chasing it for good feelings or what have you. So it's always going to be feelings. But my point is that it's an illusion. It's a lie. This whole industry of gambling is a lie. They are hijacking your nervous system. They are hijacking your emotional responses. They are hijacking your brain, literally, to win, for them to win, right? The house always wins, for them to make money. I mean, just think about it. If the industry was trying to help you make money, if the industry believed that every person could live a lavish lifestyle by gambling, there would be no casinos. They would bankrupt. They would be you, right? They would be the person who's going bankrupt because they're gambling. The house isn't gambling. They are very strategic. They know exactly what they're doing. They know how to hijack your nervous system. They know how to hijack your emotions. They know how to hijack your brain. All right. They know it. And they use every tool in their arsenal at their disposal to keep you hooked, to keep you stuck, to keep you wanting. And that right there is the key. The more you want it, the more you want it, the more trapped you're going to be. The more it serves you, the more you realize that it's serving you, that it's helping you, that it's giving you something, whether it's hope or freedom or happiness or excitement, the more you realize that it's serving you, the less you're going to quit, right? The less likely you're going to quit, because it's giving you something, it's helping you, it's doing something for you. And so you really want to see it for what it really is. It's an illusion. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's completely built on fabrication. Okay. The entire industry is the entire gambling industry, slots, betting apps, uh, poker, roulette, all of it. It doesn't matter what game you're playing. It's still a game and it's still rigged in the house's favor, period. And it will always be, because if they didn't do it that way, they would lose everything, right? Have you guys ever been to a horse race before? Ever do horse races? That's something people gamble on too. And what happens when a person wants to enter a horse? Do you know? Well, what happens is this. Let's just say I want to enter Big John into the horse race. And I come to the people and I say, hey, this is Big John. He's very, very fast and he's very strong. He's very healthy. And I think he's going to demolish all of these horses. Let's put him in the race. Well, the people who would put him in the race are going to say, definitely not. You can't do that. Why? Because what the house has to do, or the people who run the horse races have to do, is they have to know with reasonable certainty which horse is going to win the race. And they do this by understanding the horse. And so they're going to ask questions. They're going to say, well, how many races has Big John been in? What were the horses that were in that race with him? What were their times? What kind of track did they run on? Was it muddy? Was it dirt? Was it paved well? Whatever. Was it raining on the day of the race? How many people were in the race? Who are Big John's parents? Where did he come from? How many races did they race in their lifetime? The horses in that race that he did win, what were their parents like, and how many races did they win, and how many races have those horses in that race won, and what were their times, and what were their all of this stuff. They need to know every single thing about Big John before Big John can even make it into the race. Because if they have all that information, then they know for certainty that they will always be able to make their money and win the odds, and they'll set the odds accordingly when it comes to the horses, because they know who's going to win. They pretty much know with reasonable certainty which horse is going to be first, second, or third, fourth. But they already know it. And that is the same with gambling. Okay. The casinos know, they already know your nervous system, the way your brain chemistry works, dopamine and your serotonin and your nervous system and your fight flight responses and your emotional state. They know this stuff. They've been studying the psychology behind gambling their entire careers, right? People are literally in the casino, who work for the casino, will say, who know this stuff, right? They know it so well. They probably know it even better than me. All right. They know it. And they know it so well that they know it better than you. They know it better than your therapist. They know it better than most people, right? Because they've studied it for hundreds of years. They know it. They know what they're doing. All right. So everything they're doing is designed to make them win. And the only way they have to do it, the only thing they have to do to win is to keep you playing. That's it. So they just keep you playing. As long as you play, they win. Period. They don't care if you get a jackpot. They don't care if you get a big win. They already know you're addicted to it. In order to even get a jackpot, a person would probably have to be addicted. You'd have to play all the time, over and over and over and over. Very, very rarely does somebody just come to Vegas and just win a jackpot right off the bat, one or two games in. That doesn't happen, right? That doesn't happen. And even if it did, it doesn't matter. They're billions, maybe even trillions of dollars worth of an industry. So that doesn't even matter to them. But most of the time, I would say 90%, 95%, I think that's generous. 95% of the time, the people who win the jackpot are people who are addicted to gambling. They've played over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I mean, if you are real about it, if you were to just tally up all the money you've lost versus all the money you've won, I'd be willing to bet you either A, it breaks even, or B, you've lost a lot more than you've won. And so they know that you're already addicted. If you're winning a jackpot, if you're winning millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, whatever it is, if you're winning that, you've already been playing for years. They know it. And if you've been playing for years, they already know you're addicted. So the big win is an illusion. It's a complete illusion. It is a lie. It's a lie. Okay. You will not stop gambling after you win the money. And they know it. They absolutely know it. And they've been tricking you. They have been lying to you. They have been stealing from you. They have been taking everything from you. Gambling is not a friend. Okay. Gambling is not a friend. It is the best friend that has secretly been stealing your girlfriend behind your back since you've known them, right? They're the fake person in your life that you recently found out was bullshit all the time, right? Like they've been stealing your girlfriend behind your back. They've been taking her on dates. They've been spoiling her. That's gambling. Gambling is the best friend you thought you had. It's not a best friend. It's not a good friend, right? And it makes sense too. If you think about it from a best friend angle, you know, hey buddy, you're down right now. Let's go gamble. Let's go to the casino. Hey buddy, you lost your job. You only got like $300 left to your name. Let's go gamble it. Maybe we'll make some more. Hey buddy, you're feeling down right now. Your wife left you. I'm still here. I'm your best friend. Let's go gamble. Right? It's the best friend, and you've used it to cope. You've used it to help your stress levels. You've used it to get out of your head. You've used it to escape reality. You've used it in times of need. You've used it in times of desire. And just like a cigarette, as a hypnotherapist, I work with smokers and drinkers and weight loss and all these things. And it's just like that, right? Even with a smoker, it's like a best friend. You take it everywhere. It's your answer to stress. You use it when you need it, when you desire it, when you are lonely, right? And so gambling isn't your friend, okay? And so long as it serves you, you'll never quit. So long as it serves you, you will never quit. As long as it's giving you something, as long as you believe in it, as long as you believe that one more big win will satisfy every issue in your life, that one more big win will, pay off all your debt and get your family back or get your mind right or allow you the freedom to go do anything you want or whatever. Any of these thoughts, they're lies. It's not true. It's a myth. It's an illusion. It is not real. And the gambling industry will continue to pump advertisements and to continue hypnotizing people to come gamble because that's the game, right? So it is an illusion. It's not real. I'll give you an idea of what I mean by this. And I've mentioned this on the channel before, and I do have her permission to talk about this a little bit. So I had a client who came in and she had spent $70,000. She was a multimillionaire, so the money wasn't that big of a deal to her. Although she came in and she told me, she was like, "Look, I don't care about the money that I'm losing, but I can't keep it up either. Like if this keeps going on for another 5 years, I'm going to be homeless." Right? And she's been gambling her whole life, almost 40, 50 years at this point. And so she went on a casino, on a cruise, which is the worst place to go, by the way. Don't go on a cruise. Don't, if you're going to do a casino at all, go somewhere else, not a cruise. The odds are even worse. I don't know what it is, but I've never really heard. Maybe it's the fact that you're on a boat and you can't really go anywhere, so you just come back and gamble it. I don't know, but I've never heard of anybody really making off very well on a cruise if they're addicted to gambling. Just to let you know, because you're trapped on a boat and you're in the middle of nowhere and you have a gambling problem, you're probably going to gamble any jackpot that you win. So anyway, that's just an interesting idea or story for another time. But this client comes in And she's she put $70,000 into the gambling. She lost it all. She decided that was okay. I'm gonna do another, I think she said 5 or 10 grand, and then that would be it, right? So she had like 5 to 10 grand more, and somewhere in that 5 or 10 grand, she made $100,000. She got a jackpot for exactly 100 grand. So she could have left right then and there. Of course, she was on a boat in the middle of the ocean, so you can't really leave. And I think that's how they get you. I haven't actually thought that one well out yet, but I'm quite sure it's because you can't leave anywhere. I mean, what are you going to do if you're a gambling addict? You're going to go right back into the casino, even if you leave that day. Right? You got 3 more days on the cruise ship. You're going to completely avoid the casino? I doubt it. Right? But anyway, I digress. The client came in, brought in $70,000. She lost it all. Brought another $5 or $10,000 or so. Somewhere within that time frame, she won $100,000. She won a jackpot, but she didn't even try to leave the casino. She got the jackpot, she made the money, and then she proceeded to gamble, and then she lost that full $100,000 again. So she lost over $170,000 in one night, which to me, that's insane, right? That's crazy. Like you could put that in an index fund, you could put that into investments and let it compound in interest over time. Now, again, she was a multimillionaire. She didn't really need to necessarily do that, I guess. But just imagine, just for any normal person who, not normal, I don't want to say normal, but any person who's of the average, we'll say financial statuses, um, you put 30 grand in an index fund that compounds interest over time. I mean, I don't know what the math is on that, but 30 years later, you're a multimillionaire. I could pretty much guarantee that, right? So there's so much better things you could do, right? My point is, she won the jackpot, spent the whole jackpot, lost 170 plus $1,000 in one night. And, that's when she came to me, right? And she had already been seeing a psychologist for about 2.5 years. She'd been seeing a counselor for about a year. I think it was like 8 months or something. So she'd been working on this problem for herself for almost 3 years now. And unfortunately, she wasn't getting anywhere with it, right? And so she comes in and we have a session and she was done. Now, that's not always the case. All right. It's not always a one session, one and done thing. In her case, it was. And she wasn't chasing the money. She wasn't chasing the jackpot. She wasn't even chasing the feeling she'd feel if she had the money. In her case, she was actually trying to escape a feeling. Well, let me take that back. She was chasing a feeling, but it wasn't a positive feeling. It was a almost a negative feeling in a way. It was, how do I put this? Something really bad happened. I'm not going to say what it was. There was something really bad that happened, right? And essentially, this person lost their, we'll say, dignity. And I don't want to say it on here what actually happened, but if you could think about what might have happened to a young girl when they were young and dignity gets lost, I'm not going to say what it was, but that's what happened. And so this person was chasing essentially the dignity. They were chasing what they felt they lost way back in childhood. Now, it's not always a childhood thing. It's not always, I mean, it could be something from 6 months prior to the gambling that created the issue to go gamble. All right. So it's not always childhood trauma, but that is a big one that happens a lot. Right. So in this case, it was childhood trauma, and this person lost their dignity. They lost their almost a piece of themselves in a way. And then that's what they were chasing. They were chasing this loss that they felt within this hole that they were trying to fill. And when we processed that out and we regulated the nervous system and we, got the emotions to be processed in that trauma, and the client healed from that problem, they no longer needed to chase. And over the next 12 weeks or so, after that first session, over the next 12 weeks, which is as long as I had her in my practice at that point, those 12 weeks, she didn't gamble, not even once. Well, she did. She went to go gamble to test it. She wanted to test her gambling. She tested it online first because she was a big online bettor. And then, she lost like 20 bucks, didn't even try to put anything back in, didn't want to, had no urge, no desire. She was done. Went to a casino. She lost 100 bucks, left, no urge, no desire, left, didn't come back. That was like around week 4. And then the remaining 7-8 weeks, whatever it was, essentially she didn't go back at all. By the end of the 12th week, she hadn't gambled at all, really, and she was good. She was done, right? So that was kind of the frame. That was kind of the how everything worked in her case. Now, it's not always going to be like that. Some people, I think I mentioned this on one of my recordings before too. I had another client who had a dog, and the dog had died suddenly, and it was his best friend, and he grew up with this dog, and it died like a week before he went off to college or something like that. And he never really processed the emotions behind it, never really did anything with that, just kind of buried it down, suppressed it, went off to college, lived his life, graduated and everything. And then somehow he got to a casino one day. I think it was a bachelor's party or something. Went to a casino, started gambling. Then he went back the next week, and then the next week, and the next week, and the next week. And then he started chasing. And eventually now he's losing everything. And he comes in, and we traced it back to this dog that died and the grief behind it that he never let go of. And so he's essentially chasing almost the love of the dog. He felt like perhaps if he and it's really weird. It's hard to understand how this works because it's not logical, but essentially the grief and the emotion from the loss of the dog was what was tying up all of the other stressors in this person's life. It just created more and more and more, and just kind of attracted all the stress in other areas of his life. That sort of grief was underpinning everything. And, once you release that grief, everything else sort of falls. And this person, they came up with their own solution in session. They decided to go get a new dog. And that was it. They got a new dog. They rekindled that sort of love within themselves that they were almost void of after the dog died. They didn't feel happy anymore. They didn't feel good anymore. The dog dying created a lot of grief that they never processed. And so just more and more life stuff kept piling on. And eventually, now gambling is a attempted solution. If you've watched this channel before, this is an attempted solution. Gambling addiction, attempted solution. Smoking cigarettes, attempted solution. Alcoholism, attempted solution. It is not the problem. It is the attempted solution to the real problem, always. Okay, so this gambling, it's not the real problem. When you guys are, gambling, I can promise you it's not the real problem. It's the attempted solution to whatever your problem actually is. Okay. And so anyway, you're not chasing the big win. You're not chasing the jackpot. You're not chasing the money. You're chasing a feeling that is void within you, a feeling that is almost like you can't get back. There's an emptiness of that feeling. And it's almost like everything you do doesn't fill it. It's not fulfilling that need that you need, if that makes sense. And so you're never chasing the thing. You're always chasing the feeling. If I'm afraid of heights, I'm not actually afraid of heights. I'm afraid of the feeling I'm going to feel if I'm on high things, right? Tall things. If I'm afraid of flying in planes, I'm not actually afraid of flying in a plane. I know logically it's safe. I'm afraid of the feeling I'll feel if I'm in a plane. Okay. It's the feelings we're either running away from or going towards, period, always. And so this video is really just to break down this illusion. It's an illusion. You're not actually chasing the big win. You're not chasing the jackpot. Even if you got it, you would self-sabotage. Maybe you would pay off some debt, but you would come right back in. Okay. Or you would just keep playing with it and keep putting it back in and trying to win more money. And whatever the reason you're chasing, whatever feeling you're trying to chase, whatever feeling is there that you're void of, whatever feeling you feel like if you had, you'd be fulfilled with, whatever that feeling is, whatever that emotion is, that's what you're actually trying to find. That's why you're chasing. That's why you're going after this big win. Okay. The big win isn't actually the thing you want. You just want the feeling you'd feel if you had the big win. What is that? Is that freedom? Is that happiness? Is that excitement? Is that fulfillment? Is that self-worth? Right? Is it self-worth that you're missing? And so if you can find what that is and you can fulfill it, you won't need to chase anymore. And there's so many things in life that can fulfill it. Okay, but you need to know what it is. And to be honest with you, you don't even need to really know why you don't have that. Okay, so how I mentioned before that this person was childhood trauma, this other person was grief from a dog. You don't need to know the reason why. And I think this is a common misconception in just therapy in general, to be honest with you. Most traditional therapists, they want to know why, the reason why, the root cause of why all of this started. And there's different types of root causes. All right. I don't really care about the why. Sometimes it leads to the why, but you have to understand, what's the difference between a fear and a phobia? A fear, there is a point of origin. You know exactly why you're afraid of what you're afraid of, if it's a true fear. If it's a phobia, it's considered an irrational fear because there is no point of origin. You have no idea where you've gotten it, right? So a client might come in and they have an arachnophobia, right? The moment they see a spider, even the smallest, tiniest spider, instant panic attack, instant freeze, instant shaking, instant, fight flight response, right? Even the smallest little spider, and they have no experience, no recollection of anything with spiders. They've never been swarmed by spiders. They've never had a bite by a spider that was super bad. They never had any issue with spiders ever up until X amount of time ago. And now, for whatever reason, they say a spider, boom, panic attack or close to it, right? And so, oftentimes, depends on the psychologist, but a lot of times they'll refer people to a hypnotherapist because, certain methods that traditional psychology would use, like cognitive behavioral therapy and things like that, wouldn't really work on that because there is no reason why. A phobia or a phobic response is 9 times out of 10 associated learned, right? What that means is, again, if you've watched this channel before, you probably know what hypnosis is, at least based off the definition that I understand it in. And there's a ton of definitions for this, guys. It's not set in stone. All right, just to let you know. One of the definitions, though, is openness and attention, or openness and focus. Okay, if you're open to something and you're focused on it, you're going into hypnosis. And the more time you spend on that thing, the more in trance you are, the more open and focused and in trance you are, the more in hypnosis you're going, right? So if you think about that, we go into hypnosis all the time. We go into hypnosis 30 times a day, probably, most of us, right? And what could have happened, and I'm not saying it did, but what could have happened with a phobic reaction, in this case with this person with an arachnophobia or something like that, they might have saw something on TV, read something in a book, heard somebody talk about a horrible experience they had while they were already naturally suggestible in hypnosis. And what happens is that gets stuck, right? And so now, years later, something triggers it. Something triggers that neural pathway in the mind that got stuck when they were in hypnosis, and they had some association to something that has nothing to do with them. And now they have a full-blown phobia, right? So sometimes there is no reason why anything happened. Sometimes it's just your nervous system, guys. Sometimes the root cause, and this is how I like to work, I don't need to know the reason why. Sometimes we can find the reason why. Sometimes we do need it. Sometimes it's helpful, but you don't absolutely need it. The root cause is the nervous system. Your nervous system is hijacked. Your emotional system, your limbic system, your nervous system, they're hijacked by gambling. That is what we need to heal. We need to heal the nervous system. We need to heal the emotional voids you feel. The reasons you're chasing and the reasons you're escaping aren't always 100% necessary to know and understand. They're helpful and they can be something that we need to look at, but I would much rather help you regulate your entire nervous system and limbic system uh, around the idea of gambling and all the problems that there are. And once all of that is healed, you don't even have to um, have those urges or those cravings. There might not be a reason why you're chasing, right? Other than for the feeling or whatever. So, all of that being said, you're not chasing a jackpot. You're not chasing money. You're not chasing, uh, I don't know. You're not chasing it. Whatever you think you're chasing, you're not, because what you're actually chasing is the feeling. You're chasing the emotion. You're chasing the voidness, the happiness. You're trying to get away from the emptiness, or you're trying to find the excitement. And sometimes it does relate back to something in childhood. Sometimes it relates back to something just 3 months prior to your gambling problem. Sometimes it doesn't relate back to literally anything. And sometimes we just need to regulate the nervous system and regulate your limbic system, get yourself aligned consciously, subconsciously, unconsciously. All right. So I have written a book. I'm going to show you guys here. It's called The Easy Way to Quit Gambling, Exposing the Illusions That Keep You Hooked, and How to Break Free for Good. And in this book, I have chock full different reflective questions, different ways to think about gambling. And if you go through the book and you actually use it as a guide and you answer the questions honestly, it's almost as if you have me in the room with you. Okay. This is essentially how I do therapy. This is essentially how our sessions work. Okay. You're going to be reflecting, because the truth is, I'm not the one changing you. I give you the power to help yourself change yourself. Your mind created this problem for you. Your mind has the solution to this problem. Okay. I don't change you. I help you change yourself. I'm going to be honest with you guys, and this is sort of a secret of therapy. Any therapist who's telling you that they're the ones changing you, maybe be weary of that. They don't have magic powers. Okay. I don't have magic powers. I'm not a magician. I'm not a genie. I help you. I help you guide yourself to your own solution. That's what I do, because you already have it within you. The power to quit gambling is already in you. It's already there. I just help you find it. I help you get to it. I help you realize what it is. I help you realize that you have the power already within you to change, because you do. You really do. It's already there. It's already in you. It's already in your mindset. It's already in your nervous system. It's already in your limbic system. It's already there. We just have to untap it. We just have to unlock it, tap into it, breathe into it, use it. And I will be glad to help you do that, but glad to help you find it, because what happens is we get caught in loops, right? We get very in our head. We get ruminating. We get trapped, and we're not in our body anymore. We're not in our feelings anymore. We're not in our nervous system anymore. We're just in our head. We're just looping into different spirals, different belief systems, different identity issues, and we just keep looping and looping and looping. And so you need someone who can help you actually get into your body, to feel again, to process emotions, to actually manage and regulate your nervous system around the actual problem. We need to get to what the problem is, and we need to figure out certain things, because everybody's different. Right? Everybody's different. Not everybody's the same, right? And so different people have different needs. So just as a sort of reflective question to you, something that I want you to pay attention to, ask yourself, if I were to get the jackpot, or if I were to get the money, how would I feel? When you have that, how can I find this feeling outside of gambling? So what am I going to feel when I win the jackpot, when I get that big win, when I hit that huge win? What am I going to feel? Fulfillment, excitement, freedom, whatever. And how can I give myself that now? How can I give myself that now instead of waiting for the next jackpot? How can I give myself that feeling now instead of spending 10,000 more dollars to get another jackpot or to get a jackpot? How do I give that to myself now? That would be something to answer. And when I'm telling you, when you can fulfill that need that is underneath the gambling altogether, the chasing of the money, the chasing of that big win, when you can fulfill the need truthfully, right? Not genuinely, not just say that you find the need or replace the need, but genuinely, when you can find something that replaces that need, that chasing won't happen anymore. You won't need the big win because the only thing you actually needed from the big win was the feeling. And there's more to it, right? It's not just that question you have to answer. That there's probably more. So I recommend the book. It's on Amazon. I'll leave the link in the description below. It's chock full of reflective questions and just teaching you how gambling works and how the addiction works and how it's all just a myth. It's a lie. The entire book is designed to break every illusion and myth I can think of to help you realize gambling no longer serves you. It doesn't do it. It's not doing the thing you think it's doing. All it's doing is taking from you. And it will always only take from you, because if it didn't, the industry wouldn't be around. It would be completely dead in the water. It would have literally no legs to stand on, right? If it made every single person money and rich, it couldn't even survive as an industry, right? So it is always designed to take from you. The house will always win. And until you realize that it doesn't serve you, that it's taking from you, not giving to you, until you realize it for yourself, truthfully, you won't quit because it's still giving you something. So the book is really good at dismantling these myths, these illusions, these fantasies, because it's not real. None of it is. Everything you think you're getting from gambling, it's not real, guys. It's an illusion. It's a lie. It's a myth. All right. I'll leave that book in the description below. And if this is your first time on this channel, if you like this content, follow, subscribe. Happy to have you here. And again, I do try to comment back on all my comments if I can. And I'd love to hear your guys' stories. If you guys use some of the tools I've been teaching, if you guys like the content, I love to hear different stories and things that you guys are doing to help yourself get out of gambling. I love to hear it. I love to see it. So feel free to comment. All right, that's it for this video, guys. Take care for now. All right.